Good morning, Year 10. Today's lesson is going to be continuing on our study of the Vietnam War, and we're going to be looking at the Tet Offensive as a turning point of that war. So before we start, it is important that you are completing all your work up to date. There are still some that haven't completed last session's work on who had the advantage during the war, whether it's the Viet Cong, or the Americans. So if you haven't done that, can you please go back to that lesson and get it complete? It's really important that we aren't missing lessons. This will come up in your exam, but you will be sitting that exam also. So please make sure you are doing all the work. So if you have done last week's lesson, that's perfect, and we can get started. So the do now is 3 questions. Look at that image, and that image is an image of soldiers during the Tet Offensive. Tell me, what do you think is happening in the photograph? Who do you think those men are? And are you surprised by this photo? So pause there for 3 minutes and get that done. Okay, so as I said, those are American troops, but what's happening is that they are hiding, they are undercover, they are under fire. They are American soldiers. Now, this should be a surprising picture to you because of the setting. They are in a city. They are not in the jungle, so this is not guerrilla warfare. This is them under fire, under pressure from the Vietnamese. And that's what we're looking at today. The Tet Offensive is a Viet Cong offensive where they took the fight to the Americans. Now that's shocking because up until that point that goes against every strategy that the Viet Cong have used. But they decided that they were going to attack now. So today's lesson is learning about what the Tet Offensive was. So from 1965 to 7, the US thought the US thought the war was going their way. They were struggling against their Viet Cong tactics, but they were confident that they were wearing them down. But in early 1968, Viet Cong forces coordinated attacks on more than 100 cities and other military targets. They even came close to taking over the US Embassy in Saigon. So these are just a few of the major attacks on all these different groups. So what I want you to do is I'd like you to watch the clip on the Tet Offensive, and I want you to make notes on what the Tet Offensive was. So pause the video here for about 6 minutes and watch that video. It should be in the description of this video. Okay, so then the Tet Offensive took the Americans completely by surprise. It was a religious holiday for the Viet Cong, and the Americans believed that they wouldn't do anything, but they did. They took the fight to the Americans, they caught them by surprise, and they pushed them a long way. So now, I'd like you to watch this video. So that's the second video in the description, and I'd like you to use that to answer the question. What do you think the effects of the attacks were on the US and the Viet Cong? So watch the video and answer that question for me. See you in about 7 minutes. Okay, so from the video it's clear that the Viet Cong, it's a major victory, moral victory for the Viet Cong. Even though they lost and they were pushed back and they lost lots of men, it was crushing for the Americans because it was broadcast all around the world. It was showing how America was out of control of this war. You have images of the American embassy, the safest place in Vietnam, having the wall blown out and soldiers running in. So overall it showed that the war was not going very well for the Americans and would lead to more pressure on the US government to withdraw. So I've tried to put all of the effects on the US and all of the effects of the Viet Cong on this table. And what I'd like you to do is I want you to use the factors to answer the question, why was the Tet Offensive a turning point in the Vietnam War? So to answer this question, I'd like you to take something out of the left-hand side with the United States and something out of the Viet Cong side. So 2 paragraphs and then a conclusion. So you are making a judgment here. You're using the information I've given you to get this complete. So please make sure you're doing it properly. Please make sure you're putting the correct amount of effort in and get that completed to the best of your ability. It should take you 15 minutes, so I'll come back to you in 15 minutes when that's complete. Okay, so now next we're going to look at two images, two very emotive images from the Tet Offensive. Both of those images show the impact of the Tet Offensive. I want you to choose one image and I want you to explain how you would use it in a report about the attacks. So use that information to identify how you would use that image in an attack. So one, we've got a US Marine carrying a seriously wounded Vietnamese girl from the ruins of her home. Maybe he's being a hero, maybe he's protecting her from the Viet Cong. And the second one is that wounded US Marines are evacuated by tanks at the Battle of Hue during the Tet Offensive. So we've got one showing the US supporting the locals by protecting them, and the other one is the Americans on the retreat because they've been caught off guard. You choose the context of your report. Is it going to be positive or is it going to be negative? I'm going to give you 10 minutes to complete that report, and I'm looking forward to reading it. Pause here for 10 minutes. Okay, well done. So that brings us on to our main task, our final main task, which is which one of these events do you think had the biggest impact on the Vietnam War? Was it the My Lai massacre, which we did last week, where the US government faked faked a positive raid, and in actual fact they had lied about it to the people, and it created huge uproar? Or is it the Tet Offensive? Use the sentence starters to help you. Okay, I've given you some effective pointers there to help you out as well. I'm looking for two sides of an argument and a conclusion, and I'm going to give you 15 minutes to complete that, and then we'll be ready for our final task. Okay, so final task today is just to complete those quiz questions at the bottom of your assignment. Okay, so please make sure you are completing all of those questions before you leave. I will see you again later on in the week. I really appreciate all the hard work that's being put into completing these lessons. If you are not one of those at the moment that is completing all their lessons regularly, then please do contact me. I'm here to help you. I want to make sure that you do not miss out on any of the work. So I'll leave it there. Have a great week, and I will talk to you later on in the week. Thank you, boys.